What is up? It's the BJJ report coming to you from South Jersey, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Berlin, New Jersey, the finest. Guys, what is going on? If you do know, well, maybe this is the first time you're checking in. You know that I recently got my blue belt in BJJ, but don't hit that lady. The other factor here is I just left rolling with Robert. What's going on? I just left rolling with Ryan in South Jersey, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, and he's like, oh, look, I had to work a little harder. I was, we're just teasing about me getting the blue belt, but the thing is it's iterations, right? It's iterations of the same thing that you do over and over and over and over and over again until that groove is worn in who you are. That groove is worn in who you are, and people see that, and you feel that. It's the Bruce Lee thing. Like, look, I know a lot of different moves in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and there's a couple that I do well, right? So I don't fear the man that knows 10,000 different kicks. I fear the man that's practiced the same kick 10,000 times. And it's iterations each time. And this works in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What is it that you're doing today? What is it that you're about today? What is it that you're tackling today and you tackled it yesterday? You tackled it the day before. You tackled it the day before that. Are you doing the same thing over and over and over and over again? Or are you making iterative improvements on it? Or maybe you're taking 2 steps back and 1 forward. Are you looking to improve that thing? And are you taking advantage of the opportunities that you see in your life? Do you realize that the thing that you've been doing every day, all day for so long is an opportunity for you to improve? Do you realize that iteration, that thing that you did yesterday, that you're going to do the exact same way again today, there's potential to improve upon that? Do you realize that all the opportunities that you've ever had and you've ever seen in your life are just opportunities to improve on what you've already done before? One of the things that I hear, and this one strikes a chord with me almost all the time that I hear, is that, like, most of us, when we learn something, we stop at that level. Once we learn how to do something at one level, and I'm going to use the idea of reading as one of these things, that you learn how to read. Most people stop learning how to read any better at like 7th grade or even 10th or 12th grade, and most people cap out at a 10th or 12th grade reading level. Most people, the average person, reads 300 words per minute. Okay, I think you speak about you can get up to 100 words a minute. So the average person reads 3 times faster than you can speak, and generally what you hear. But imagine how much more information and how much more information you could take in if you could improve on that one thing that you stopped improving on, right? So let's say that double that, right? A good reader will read the average, I think they say the average executive will read about 20 books a year. Hey, where do they find that time, first of all? Second, if you're only reading 300 pages, or 300 words a minute, it's like 1 page a minute or something like that. So, you got to read at a fairly decent clip. But imagine if you could double the speed that you read at, or imagine if you just increase it by 100 words per minute. Now you're reading 400 words per minute. You're reading that much faster. You've got that much more time if you go ahead and develop this one skill that you never topped out on. You stop doing any better on it. You're like, I can do it at this level, and this is where I'm done. And you're comfortable with that. You're comfortable with the station that you take, and you're not taking the opportunity to improve on that because you don't feel like there's a necessity to. And that's fine, right? Like, not everybody feels a necessity to. The question is, what would your life look like if you improved upon a skill that you already know how to do, right? And you just kept getting better. Like I said, if you just kept getting better at reading. For me, if I keep getting better at jiu-jitsu, I'm not making these huge strides, But I'll use the example of, from when I come from this school and I go visit my, friends down in North Carolina, they're going to notice this huge difference. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Jason Pockrant earlier today, and we were talking about, what's cool is we've known each other for a number of years, and we check in with each other along the journey. And when you're really close to yourself and you're going through this development phase and you're growing on your own and you're putting all this work in, you're so close to it that even if you're making these iterations, it doesn't seem like anything's happening, right? It doesn't seem like anything's happening to you. But when I come across Jason after, like I said, about 6 months, I'm like, man, you sound different. You sound great. You sound like this is going on. Catches me up with his story. And I'm like, man, I'm really proud of you. You're doing like these awesome things. But I get to see it all collapse in like such a fast period of time. He's going through it real time, living it, and he doesn't see it happening as he just watches it, versus me. And again, I get to see it in collapse real time. I know where he was, and I know where he is, just the same as you. You know where you are, and when you go and you tell somebody all the things that have happened in like 6 months, they're gonna be like, wow, and they're gonna see it all like just blow up at one time. It's like watching a time-lapse video, right? And so that's awesome. That's something that again, the big part of those iterations, and looking at yourself and looking at what you have opportunities to do, and even if you don't perfect like the one thing that you do over and over and over today, if you try to improve, what's up, Finn? If you try to improve just one piece, if you improve 1% over the course of a year, that's 1/365th of a percent of a 100th, your life will take on a completely new look and feel, and everything's going to be different in 1 year by changing 1/365th percent. I don't know what that breaks down to. Finn's watching. He can probably get some math and figure it out in his head. But you don't need to make these enormous changes that people don't make these enormous changes. They do small, incremental, iterative changes day after day, and they work on small pieces to improve the greater whole. So, and I think that if you've ever seen Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect, he likens it to, let's say you're in Los Angeles and you take a plane flight, and your flight is destined to New York. Well, if you change it by 1%, if you change that trajectory by 1%, that pathing by 1%, you're going to end up down in DC. So 1% makes a pretty big difference, especially throughout the course of time and throughout over a longer period of time. And on top, and as part of that, like I'm saying, guys, iterations, right? One small piece, one fix every day, one small piece that you get better at every day. Doesn't matter where you are or what's going on in your life. That one small fix is that one small address to you and improving it. Not just like, not saying, hey, I did the same thing over and over again, but looking for ways to make improvements on that. Historically, what I've done is I've said, all right, well, and here's, I'll liken it to Toyota. You go to Toyota versus some of the U.S. manufacturers, and this is years ago, it may have changed by now. But when something broke down at the Toyota shop, they would stop and address it right in that moment. So what happens to us here is like we stop it, we address it, we make a note of it, and we have a talk about it a year later or a week later. And we don't take that opportunity to correct it right when it happens. So let's say, for example, go back to stuff that I was doing with Excel or macros or any programming. You'd write the program, make it work, and a lot of times I would get it just where it was good enough. But then I decided that if I just take and fix one line each time that something pops up, it's going to get better. It's going to drop out of the back of my head. It's going to free up mental slots and memory for myself if I just improve one small piece at a time, one line of code at a time, one whatever it is that you do at a time. Today we were working on getting out of guillotines and practicing that. during our warm-ups in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we practice doing the right, left Kimuras. I practice at home on the mat. I'll practice doing triangles for a little bit. But just so you've got your body conditioned to improve, small, iterative, not life, not this huge thing, not this, I think Tony Robbins talks about it, but this isn't what I'm suggesting. Small, believable, easy, achievable things that you can do every day that are going to build momentum, that are going to give you growth, that are going to make you stronger. I mean, we've seen it a million times with Meg going through Stronger You, all of her friends going through Stronger You, seen it with Phil Halfpenny, seen it with Justin Bailey, seen it with so many people. It's the small, Kenyon Ziska, the small, every day, looking at the things that you can improve, and honestly, dropping the things that aren't working for you anymore. If it's not working for you, stop trying to make it work. Maybe you need to delegate it. Maybe that's not your strength. Somebody else talked about that. What are your strengths? Play to your strengths. Recognize your weaknesses. If you're weak in something, figure out a way to delegate it. Outsource it. Do something with it. That's not yours. You're not good at it. Stop trying to be good at it. Stop trying to adjust a weakness and turn it into a strength. Recognize your strengths. Get stronger. Find somebody who's strong in the things that you're weak at. Work as a team. It's a scale of economics, right? Scale of economy? I don't know. But those are my things today. But again, iterations. Work on something small every day to improve every day, to see growth, and it'll happen. It'll happen. And when you do those small changes, the people that knew you 6 months ago, before you started doing these changes that you don't even see, it's like watching your tree grow, they're going to come up and be like, man, you changed. You've gone through so much. What have you been up to? What are you doing? You're going to be like, oh, I don't know. I changed one line of code a day. Now I make my bed every day. I do these small little victories, and I just have a great day every day. And, I don't know what else could be different. And, for the person that knew you 6 months before then, you didn't do any of that. You weren't that person. You've grown personally, and that stuff shows up in your professional world too. I remember working with Elise Archer as my sales coach years ago, and she goes, listen, you're gonna anytime you grow in one area, by kind of default, you're lifting other pieces of your life up. If you've gotten better at, say, your life at home, your life's going to feel better. That's automatically going to improve your life at work, right? If your life's better at work, it's going to improve your mood when you come home. Spiritually, all those spaces. So any of those spaces that you're improving on in your life are going to help elevate the rest of the areas of your life. And typically what I found anyways with the clients that I've worked with the people that I've worked with myself, with the study of many other successful people, once they figure out what works for them in one area, they're able to replicate that in multiple areas of their life. So let's say you're very successful at work because you're great at scheduling stuff, but you don't schedule anything at home. Well, you have the opportunity to schedule stuff at home, to make that a strength of yours at home. Be like, listen, do you mind if I just put some stuff on the schedule? And that's important. It's important to schedule stuff at home because the things that you put on your calendar, those are the things that are important to you in your life, right? So if you schedule your work, why wouldn't you schedule the other important things in your life? And those things are, again, like your family, getting them out to the park. If you look at my schedule, I've got dinner on the schedule. I've got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the schedule. I've got time out on the schedule with the family, time out for education, time out for work, time out for a number of things, time out for reflection on Sundays. I've got a scheduled sit down, look at my week, look at what went well this past week and some things that maybe I don't need to do anymore. Like I said, this time for reflection. All these things add up to monumental change, but you can add them all in one small piece at a time, over time, so that you are steadily growing and improving your life over time. It doesn't happen at the snap of a finger. It's something that, it's easy to do if you start doing it. And that's really all there is to it. Once you start doing it, you're already doing it. There's either you're doing it or you're not, right? Like Yoda said, there's no try. There's either do or do not. Something like that, some Yoda talk. Anyways, guys, iterative changes, time over time. Brought to you from South Jersey, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Berlin, New Jersey, the finest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And thanks for that. All right, guys, take it easy.